Hi, everyone. My name's Robin Young. I'm the founder of the Research Co-op. And in this video, I'm going to give you a background and history of co-ops, their structure, and their governance. Now, cooperative business, also known as a co-op, is a type of organization that's owned and controlled by its members who also happen to use the services and products of the co-op. These businesses are different than other types of companies because they're formed and they operate for the benefit of its members. First co-op in the United States was founded in 1752 by, among others, Benjamin Franklin. It was called the Philadelphia Contributorship for the Insurance of Houses from Loss by Fire. Since then, co-ops have evolved to encompass all manner and size of businesses, including small buying clubs, insurance co-ops like TIAA CREF or USAA, retail co-ops like REI, food producer co-ops like Land O'Lakes, Ocean Spray, Tropicana, or the great big one. I think they're over 100 billion in sales right now, CHS in Minnesota. And healthcare providers, Health Partners, Kaiser Permanente. These are all co-ops. In the United States, there are more than 42,000 cooperatives, and together they own and control assets upwards of $3 trillion, making them a major contributor to the U.S. economy. Now, one of the most important reasons people form a co-op business is to improve the bargaining power of individual members and improve the quality of the product or service provided by the members. In our case, among our goals is to empower the individual life science researcher, improve each individual researcher's bargaining power for disseminating their work, ensure they retain title to their work, and provide a variety of tools and data to improve the quality of each researcher's work. Now, co-ops in general also seek to reduce the costs from the process of producing products or growing crops or providing services. In the case of the research co-op, that means reducing the cost of data and other life science research information and expand the opportunities in the life science research market and take advantage of them on behalf of each individual member. So how does a co-op work? How does the ownership and control of a cooperative business actually function? Co-ops are owned by their members and are democratically controlled. Each member has a voice in how the business is run. Co-ops are almost always for-profit enterprises, and earnings generated by the co-op are returned to its members. In the case of the research co-op, profits are returned to members in the form of research funding and directly to members who contribute studies or data to the co-op database. Those are direct payments to each member. Research co-op, like all co-ops, exists to benefit its members. Most for-profit co-ops operate like traditional for-profit businesses with boards of directors who are elected by the membership. They hire an executive management and they ensure the co-op is managed according to its bylaws and co-op principles, which are first, voluntary and open membership. This is for members of the academic life science research community. Life science researchers from private industry are not eligible to be members, but they can still access the data and some of the other tools. Number two, democratic member control. That's one member, one vote. Number three, members have economic participation in the profits, and we intend to distribute up to 75% of the profits to members in the forms of research funding and direct payments to researchers who contribute studies or data. Autonomy and independence, that's the fourth main feature. Research co-op, the research co-op answers only to its membership, not unaffiliated investors or lenders. The fifth thing provides education, training, and information. The research co-op's core function is to improve life science research, which is the basis for life science education, training, and information by empowering the individual researcher, providing data at affordable prices to its members, increase research funding for members, and to pay directly to members who contribute research and data. And when you contribute research and data, you are contributing that for the membership. The sixth point is cooperation. It's in the name. A co-op is a cooperative entity. The research co-op cooperates with other co-ops. such as integrated healthcare providers like Health Partners in Minnesota, Kaiser Permanente on the West Coast, and so forth. And the seventh key principle is concern for the community. The research co-op exists to serve the life science research community. What are the difficulties? What are the disadvantages of a cooperative? First of all, startup funding is difficult. Co-op businesses have fewer incentives for large investors when attracting capital. Wealthy investors tend to avoid co-ops because the size of their investment does not determine the size of their influence. So most co-ops are funded with debt from banks, other financial institutions, or most commonly from the members themselves. The second disadvantage is decentralized power. Traditional businesses have centralized power that make decisions quickly. Cooperatives rely on the involvement of its members, which is more time consuming. Now, one way to address this is to have a strong professional managerial core and an experienced board of directors. One advantage the research co-op expects to have is sufficient revenues to support a good, experienced managerial core. Now, the one thing you may not know is that co-ops are more successful businesses than other types of businesses. According to the Berkeley Economic Review, this is from November 14th, 2022, co-op businesses have a lower failure rate than traditional businesses, especially in the first 5 years. First year co-ops have a 90% success rate compared to more of a 40 to 20%, compared to a 60 to 80. Let me start again. First year co-ops have a 90% success rate compared to a 20 to 40% success rate for traditional businesses. And in the first 5 years, the survival rate is about 2 times traditional businesses. There was a study by Monteiro and Stewart in 2015 that compared the survival rates of co-op businesses with traditional businesses in Portugal. They reported that 97% of the tested cooperatives survived 5 years or more. 80% of traditional firms survived 5 years or more. But when they went out 20 years, 84% of the co-ops were still operating after 20 years. Less than half of traditional firms survived 20 years or more. And, and 63% of the tested co-ops lasted 50 years or more. So, indeed, some of the largest companies in the world are co-ops. TIAA-CREF, for example, is a co-op with more than $1 trillion in assets. There are some structural reasons why co-ops are more successful than traditional businesses. First, the producer and consumer is also the company. Co-ops are formed by producers, consumers for the benefit of themselves. Co-ops are those rare in the US legal entities that allow for activities that would otherwise be considered antitrust and unfair business practices. Like dairy farmers who would otherwise compete with each other now collaborate with each other to set market prices for their milk. In the case of the research co-op, members of the life science research community will set prices for their product and data and dissemination, not a shareholder-owned oligopoly, as is the case today. Second thing, co-ops are inherently more stable and resistant to common business blunders. Since there are more people making decisions in a co-op, they are less likely to make impulsive decisions that could potentially harm the company. There's a wide range of voices and opinions that contribute to that stability. Third thing, co-op risk is widely dispersed. Co-op cash flow and capital comes from a wide range of sources. So if a few fail, it doesn't kill the enterprise. Likewise, the death of a significant shareholder, which in a more traditional business would set up a range of succession issues, does not have the same effect on a co-op since it's owned by its members, and the death of any one member does not affect co-op existence. The fourth thing, co-ops empower their member customers. Co-ops were originated as a way to pool risk, to make large purchases as a group, and to empower the individual producer. Co-op members typically feel they're part of a meaningful company, which is contributing to the common good of its members, if not also, in the case of the research co-op, global healthcare. And the last point is that co-ops have a lower tax rate. They have a lower tax rate because they give away the vast majority of their profits to its members. Land O'Lakes, for example, one of the largest dairy co-ops in the United States, paid an effective tax rate in 2023 of 0.13%. That's that's like one is 0.13% on profits of $258 million on revenues of 17 billion. The reason Land O'Lakes has such a low tax rate is because they paid out $337 million to its members. Finally, as anyone who's joined a co-op knows, cooperative membership instills a spirit of independence, cooperation, and tolerance. So that's the end of this video. I don't want to go on too long. I'm Robin Young again, the founder of the Research Co-op. I hope you will join our wait list and ultimately become a member of our co-op. Thank you very much.